Morning and welcome. We look at issues again of the church and we visit with Peter, that kid in class who's always asking all those questions. This time he asks about forgiveness. How many times do I need to forgive? Join me, won't you, as we look at two different responses, God's way, man's way, and see which one works. This week we enter into another parable or story. It's precipitated by Peter, asking Jesus, how often must I forgive? Again, Jesus is turning things upside down. Remember, he's trying to rewrite old codes, challenge old ideas and expectations, trying to establish a new way, God's way, in the here and now. So this new way, it's something different. It's about forgiveness. And you can hear Peter saying, so how many times are we supposed to forgive? So Jesus, being the master teacher, gives him a little riddle, and then he tells him a story. And it's an easy read. A man with an unsurmountable debt has it forgiven. Great. Go and do the same. But when the same man meets somebody else who owes him money, he takes a different path. And that's where things start to shift. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Don't forgive and you will not be forgiven. You will get what you give. In fact, you might even be tortured for it. But let's look a little closer. The king. The king gives mercy and forgiveness of an unimaginable debt. In the world of Jesus, a denarii, a penny, was about a day's wage for a worker. Compare that to a talent, which is about 15 years worth of salary. And this man, he owed 10,000 talents, or 150,000 years worth of wages to the king. Outrageous, crazy amount. Like, would any lender or king let someone get 150,000 years worth of salary in debt? Of course not, but I digress. The unsurmountable debt sets the scene for unimaginable mercy. Which again is the point. God's love and mercy is beyond human perception or understanding, which we often have a hard time with. 150,000 years, a generational burden, like some sin becomes. Sin that affects children and grandchildren, right? How many of us know families that are so divided that they can't get together for Christmas, or they can't see each other at a family wedding or even a funeral? The separation is healed. The void is filled through God's mercy. Undeserved, but given nonetheless. That's mercy. That's God's way. The way the slave acted, not forgiving, was man's way. So we're back to Peter, Matthew, and Matthew's audience. A story they must have needed to hear because it's the only found in this gospel. They needed a new way. They need to shift their whole perspective from honor and shame, do's and don'ts, from man's way to mercy, God's way. Undeserved, unimaginable forgiveness, healing, love. Love that restores and creates life, not judgments that condemn and isolate. It's a shift they needed, and I dare say it's a shift we all need. So what do we do with it? If there's someone in your life who needs mercy, undeserved forgiveness or healing, try to give it to them. Or maybe pray for the grace to see it and move towards it. If you need mercy, perhaps your prayer is for the courage to work towards it, to connect to that person or family member, maybe even God himself, through personal prayer, talking to someone, or reconciliation. If you know a family who's divided, maybe your thoughts, intercessions, or prayers can go towards them. Or perhaps you need to forgive yourself. So often we think we're not good enough, or don't deserve forgiveness. We think we can't earn back the trust that we lost, or heal what's been broken. When we do this, we're thinking like men, man's way. We're not thinking like God. We're not allowing for God's way. So maybe, for our focus this week, we need to stop thinking we don't deserve it. That's kind of the point, isn't it? We may not deserve it from man's perspective, but luckily, God doesn't look at things the way we do. Luckily, God forgives. 150,000 years of debt, of sin, of whatever we think is unimaginable. God has already seen it and done it and is offering it to us. Mercy and healing, wholeness and love. May we all embrace it this week. Thanks for walking with me. Peace.